Hey, what's going on, guys? Dan Darrow here with another Options and Play video update. So, quick video, just kind of going over an idea that I've talked about a bunch in the past, but it's matching your expiration with your target, right? So, with whatever you're trying to accomplish in a trade, so whether it's a few cents, a few points, multiple percentages like 10, 20, 30, right? It's really, really ultra important to make sure you have the proper time frame for the proper expiration for that option trade, right? Because it's one of like the biggest mistakes that traders make. It's either they pay for too much time, right, and they leave reward on the table, right, because you're paying for all that extra time value, or they don't buy enough time and they miss out on the move that they were looking for, right? So it's definitely a unique thing for option traders versus just if you just trade stock. But I try to keep it simple. Okay, so I first I try to determine whether there's a specific catalyst I want to be involved with, right? So if there's an earnings coming up, I want to be involved with earnings, then at least you have a date on the calendar that you can circle and say, I have to have expiration that goes through this date because that's the earnings date. That's what I want to be involved with, right? So right there, that's something that you can at least circle and say, like, the expiration should go through it. Me personally, I like to go, even if it's like an earnings trade this week, I typically like to go 1 week or 2 weeks past. That's just me, just based off the way the options are priced. That's kind of how I like to do it. But earnings date, right? Or catalyst date, like that's one of the things you can circle on your calendar. You say, these contracts, if I want to be involved with the trade for this earnings report, then at least have to go through this date, right? So that's simple and straightforward. Now the next is if it's a swing trade and you're not really in it specifically for catalyst, right? So that's why I had JD up there talking about the earnings trade this week. So if you want to be at JD, then obviously the trade had to be through this week because the earnings were this week. Now for a swing trade, it kind of comes down to the target, right? So what is the target? And then how does that compare to the average, say, daily move or monthly move, right? So I use the daily trading ranges and I use the monthly trading ranges, all right? So Spotify, I mean, like a lot of charts kind of messed up right now because March and April had really significant moves, right? Significant trading ranges. So it's going to skew it more to like the wider priced in bands, right? But if you go back to say February, January, December on Spotify, the stock moved on average, say about top to bottom, say roughly between 10 and 12 points, right? Sometimes it was more, sometimes it was less, but say 10 to 12 points. So if you're looking for a 10 to 12 point swing trade on Spotify, right, and it moves on average, say 10 to 12 points, then right there you have your time frame, about a month, right? Because if you want 10 to 12 points, it moves on average 10 to 12 points on a month, then what you could say is like, I need at least a month for this trade, right? If you're only looking for 1 to 2 to 3 points on Spotify, right, then that's basically like the average daily trading range, right? So then you wouldn't necessarily need to pay for all that extra time, right? You could look at weekly options. You could look at 2 week options, right? Because why are you going to pay for all the extra time, right? Pay for like 3, 4 weeks of time value when the trade that you're targeting, so whether it's 2 points, 3 points, 4 points, right, typically plays out over like a 1 to 2 day stretch, right? So again, it's aligning the expiration with the target of your trade, right? SLV I talked about recently, right? So this is a pattern that's starting to break out to the bull side, right? And what I talked about was the average monthly trading range on SLV and how I wanted it to line up with the strike of with the expiration of the contract, right? So again, March and April are going to skew a lot of things because of the really significant trading ranges. But what you do is go back to February, go back to January, go back to December, right? You use the average peak to the average, so the average high of the month, right? To the average, so it's the average high to the average low, and use that as kind of like a rough gauge of the average trading range for that month. And then depending on what it is, right? So say it's like $1 to $1.25, and you're looking for a 2 to 2.5 point move on SLV, then you need 2 months until expiration at minimum, right? So again, I mean, I can't stress it enough how important it is to really align the expiration with the target you're going, because paying for too little time, paying for too much time is really where a lot of traders make a ton of the mistakes. And if you have at least some sort of like simple process to kind of tell you which contracts you want to be going for, it at least kind of removes some of that confusion, removes some of like the errors that you could potentially make by, again, spending too much money or spending too little money or running out of time on the trade. All right. So if you like these videos and you're looking for more information on options trading, more option trade ideas for earnings or option education, please follow up with the link in the description of the video for more information on options and play. Hope you guys have a safe night, have a healthy night, and I will talk to you all tomorrow.